Every program around the country has surprises on signing day. Luckily for Michigan State, well, they were on the good end of a lot of surprises. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans to hear about signing day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe. Let us know your favorite surprise for Michigan State this signing day, because we'll cover them all. I thought it'd be on the sleepier side of a signing day, but not the case. Speaking of sleepy, a lot of these happened before we even woke up this morning. So yes, before we get to that, I do want to let everyone know this is the first of 2 episodes today. Enough happened this signing day where we're going to break up the signing day recap and, well, tonight's basketball game into different shows. So yes, you will be hearing from us later tonight after Michigan State is done with their game against Minnesota. Now off to signing day we go. And look, zooming out, just from a 50,000-foot view, I get it, right? 18 kids in the class, ranked 50th in the nation. We've talked ad nauseum about our thoughts on that. Point blank, yes, it has to be better. No, this is not sustainable to be humming around in the 40s or the 50s year after year after year. We've also talked about this ad nauseum, is that we kind of expected a lower-ranked class this year. This goes back to our conversations in the summer, really hammering the point home that recruiting predicated on 2+ year relationships. You get to know the kids as juniors, sophomores, freshmen, as a new staff that largely has come in from outside of this area. Well, yeah, they're going to take some time to get some inroads in. That's just the very, very short version of all this. So yes, guys, I understand. Not a great ranked class. Yes, 18, a little bit fewer kids than you want, but you could supplement that in the transfer portal. But let's just zoom in on today specifically. Okay, on this Wednesday, December 4th, National Signing Day, because if you just look at what has happened on signing day, well, Michigan State had a stronger day than a lot of us anticipated, right? Like, let's just go right to the morning. This is the first thing I saw on my phone when I woke up this morning, actually, and this was something that was on, like, no one's radar. Even the people that I talked to that are very in the know late on Tuesday, nothing about this. Jace Clarizio. Hey, we just talked about him not too long ago, how he was a Michigan State commit, then flipped to Alabama, and, well, you guys already know how this ends. He flipped back to Michigan State. Highly rated 3-star kid. ESPN has him rated as a 4-star. Point blank, he's a top 500 kid. Running back right up the road at not Abbott High School, sorry. Take Abbott up there to East Lansing High School. And this was one of the best-kept secrets heading into signing day, and massive credit goes to Jonathan Smith here, because the way I understand it now, after talking to people behind the scenes, Smith started hitting the ground hard to get Clarizio's recommitment starting on Monday, tied up all the loose ends on Tuesday. So Smith being relentless, and also, Smith said as much, the Sparty NIL Collective, they also helped bring this one home too. So well done by the head coach, well done by the NIL Collective that has had a lot of question marks around it lately to get this one home. Spectacular work there. Now, we did an episode not too long ago about how his flip to Alabama, that was a big blow. Not just because, you're missing out a really good player in Jace Clarizio, who is now your top ranked running back in this class, one of the better offensive players in Michigan State's class, but just optically, that was tough to see him flip to Alabama because, well, you just lost your top running back prospect to Alabama, where he would have been the 3rd ranked guy. Like, in no world optically is that good, and certainly personnel-wise, well, that's not good either. So, yes, we did have a tough time dealing with that not too long ago, but on the contrary, we're going to be as loud in the praise for Jonathan Smith to get this one done after a recent flip to Alabama. So, that's right. So, Alabama, that dragon was slayed on signing day, and then, guys, we talked yesterday how a lot of the drama on signing day for Michigan State, if there was going to be any, would come out of the defensive secondary, specifically with Aydan West, because, well, he visited Virginia Tech last month. Okay, he has a lot of friends from that DMV area that play at Virginia Tech. He got a lot of crystal balls from 24/7 Sports pointing him to the Hokies program. And then, well, few weeks after that, he visits Ohio State. That's a pretty good program. I know they, crapped all over their own shoes on national television, but by and large, still a really strong program. And then, the coach that recruited him, well, he just took a job at UCLA, and while Aydan West has never visited UCLA, he still got an offer from them. If you really like the coach that much, well, yeah, potentially he could have followed him to the Bruins. Guys, Michigan State secured this one. I said yesterday that I would be shocked if Aydan West actually does stick around because whether it was any of the three schools I just mentioned, I think they have a really good shot of flipping him away from Michigan State. This was a great job sealing the deal with Aydan West. I am very surprised. I'm going to be honest. A few people I know that I've talked to, they are equally as surprised. But this was a recruitment that some people thought was kind of over for Michigan State. But man, just keep on getting after it, and they did. So this completes a secondary class of George Mullins from Florida, Evan Young from Texas, and then Terrence Edwards too, a recent flip from West Virginia. You stack that with last year's secondary class of Justin Denson, Jalen Thompson, Andrew Brinson, three guys that got experience this year. I know it wasn't the most fun season. A lot of injuries in the secondary, if not for nothing else. Those young bucks got some really good exposure in the secondary. Okay, those are two good secondary classes that you've stacked together. And guys, another well-kept secret by the staff. This was on no one's radar. Going into Tuesday, I feel like, is that Leonard Ah You, former three-star linebacker out of Hawaii. He was the number 4 prospect in the 2023 class. Now, why on earth are we talking about this kid for the class of 2025? Well, when he committed to Oregon State 2 years ago, he never enrolled. He went on a he went on a mission trip. LDS, not LSD mission trip. That'd be completely different. LDS mission trip, 2 years. Now he's back, ready to play some college football, and he's going to do it here in East Lansing. Not too shabby. 6'4", 210-pound outside linebacker. Can play a little bit of edge, probably. I mean, there's no, shortage of need there here at Michigan State for someone that could be an edge rusher. We all saw the pass rush last year. Now look, he did have a 2-year gap from football. Might take him a little bit to get his feet under himself again. But when his feet are under him, back in high school, as a number 4 prospect out of Hawaii, he was always lauded for his speed. Just a lot of fast defensive players, which goes into the strength of this class. It's that linebacker class. I mean, just tie it in with Leonard Ah You, who could be an instant impact player this year, the age of a junior, the eligibility of a freshman. But you go back to the actual freshman next year, Charles DJ White. Now, he committed back in June. He's an accomplished track athlete over there at Orchard Lake St. Mary's. He was a finalist in the hurdles last year in the state of Michigan. 6'3", 200-pound linebacker. That was the name of the game for him. He is a fast linebacker, and if you've watched the last few years of Michigan State football, you might have noticed yourself that, we can use a little bit of speed around these parts in the linebacker room. Joe Rossi has identified that. Jonathan Smith has identified that. So with DJ White, well, that's what you get with him too. Damari Malone, also really strong linebacker out of Macomb, Dakota. You stack that with Brady Pretzloff of last year's class, a guy that was a 4-star according to On3. We are very hopeful and high on Brady Pretzloff over here at Locked On Spartans. And you can see if you get anything out of Marcellus Polium. The young Miami transfer last year, played sparingly this year. Samaj Bridgman, former 4-star, really did not play a lot, if at all, this year. But still, 2 young guys that are linebackers. See if you could stack those together. You see what the defense is trying to do with recruiting here. It is get some speed in the linebacker position. Did it with White, a little bit with Malone, definitely with Ah You as well. And the crown jewel of this class, none other than Derek Simmons, straight out of Bronner's country himself. 4-year starter at Frankenmuth High School, guys. Now, whenever we've talked about Derek Simmons, if you've heard us talk about Derek Simmons, we're going to sound like a wind-up toy here because, yes, we are going to hammer this point home. Really reminds us of the Derek Harmon rise. And what we mean by that is that, Frankenmuth in Division 5 MHSAA football, not necessarily a hotbed. Right? That's not where a lot of strong recruits come from. Just like Derek Harmon playing at Detroit Loyola, that's like Division 7 football. You're wondering, okay, yeah, he's good against, some inadequate talent, you can say. And then, as Harmon's career keeps going on, as Derek Simmons' career keeps going on, you realize, oh my God, this guy's got a nasty streak to him. At 270 pounds, low center of gravity, like this guy can play ugly in the trenches. And that's how he got his 4-star bump on Rivals, on 24/7 Sports. So there you have it. That is where the strength of this class is, right there at that front seven with the linebackers and a great defensive lineman in Derek Simmons. Now, there was one surprise for signing day. It wasn't great for Michigan State. We'll get to that here in a hot second and talk about the class overall. But first, you need to talk your ears off about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, oh my God. Sorry, it's just a chill came through my body. My heart dropped a little bit because, yes, Lions, Packers on Thursday night. Now, you already know, yeah, we'll be sweating that game out just as a Lions fan. But, hey, add a little extra sweat to your brow with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That is over at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so I guess a little hiccup for signing day right here. Michigan State right now at 18 kids. Could have been 19, might get up to 19, but Bryson Williams out of Orchard Lake St. Mary's, this is one of your do-it-all athletes. He can play running back. He can play receiver, return kicks. He can run 50-50 sales at halftime if you want him to. He is postponing his signing until the other signing period in February. Now, this is a young man that's been committed since the summer here at Michigan State. There are plenty of recruiting experts out there, both at Rivals with their guy Ryan O'Blenis, 24/7 Sports, what have you, that say that, Bryson Williams is still locked in with Michigan State. He still plans on signing in February, but I just take it from one fan. Maybe this is the Debbie Downer in me, but when I see that, a kid that's been committed for the better part of about 5 months here and then wants to push it back to February, I do see that as a decommitment. Like, if you are committed to the school, you sign the first chance you can, so we do have to wait a little bit longer. I'm sure other schools will step in, try to pull him away, so not a completely, just undefeated day as far as surprises for Michigan State. That was one. People that are more optimistic say that he's locked in, and, they could very well be right. I just see it as if you don't sign when you can after months of commitment, well, looks like we might be getting cold feet here and looking elsewhere. So, hey, would love to be wrong. We'd love to have Bryson Williams as part of this class here. And speaking of the February cycle, Antonio Johnson, another player from Orchard Lake St. Mary's, he will be on Michigan State's radar too for the month of February. Now, overall, with the rankings nationally, Michigan State comes in at 50th in the nation according to Rivals. In the conference, 14th in the Big Ten. Cannot be more clear about it, guys. Like, I know we just talked about great things that happened today. Yes, there are going to be some players that turn out to be strong for Michigan State, of course. And even the ones we didn't mention, that's not me saying that, mark that down for being bad players. At the end, we really don't know who will be good, who will be not. I do know one thing. It's that having a 14th ranked class in the Big Ten and 50th in the nation is not sustainable. That has to get better. Would have liked to see us a little higher than 18 kids in the class. But what does that mean when you have just 18 kids in the class? You do get more allotment for your transfer portal, right? And Jonathan Smith, he spoke about this at a press conference not too long ago, about 20 minutes before recording, really. He said that it's going to be about a 50-50 split of high school and transfer additions in this offseason right there. So, again, 18 kids, not sky high. That's actually the third lowest in the Big Ten. Iowa has just signed 15 at the time of recording, and Purdue, well, they just fired their head coach. They got 8 kids committed. Who knows if they'll even sign. Whatever. You get my point. You like that to be a higher number, but you can supplement through the portal if you have to. And, well, they are going to have to. So what kind of transfers can we expect? Well, obviously, you want guys that are instant impact. That goes without saying for every program across the country. But I do wonder if they're also going to get another big crop of young development projects. We saw that at last year's portal season, right? They got guys like Samaj Bridgman, Marcellus Polium, Jeremiah Hughes, Tyler Gillison, guys that played very sparingly, if at all, at their previous stops. But, hey, 4 years of eligibility when they come over here because, well, depth was an issue this year. So we can't take instant impact guys immediately. We also need to stock our younger or our underclassmen. And that's what you got right here. I wonder if that's going to be another strategy for this upcoming portal cycle. Yes, you do need instant impact guys, namely in the trenches. Offensive lineman, you could use a speedy slot receiver. Like, there's no shortage of positions where they need instant impact. I would not be surprised to see a handful of guys that, again, maybe didn't really play as a freshman elsewhere, that this staff believes they can develop. So that's where we stand right here with this 2025 class. A little bit of a peek in the offseason strategy for Michigan State here. So, and it's not just 18 kids, guys, that is, the reason why Michigan State will have some good opportunities in the transfer portal coming up. They'll also see about, I don't know, like a probably double-digit amount of kids leaving. I said around a dozen yesterday kids in the transfer portal. We already know of one, Ken Talley. There might even be another one or two announcing their decisions today. But yeah, with the smaller high school class and I think another influx of transfers out of the program, Michigan State will not be strapped with scholarships at all coming up. Now, what's important is taking advantage of that. Actually getting kids and filling out that class. Easier said than done, but yes, keep it tuned to Locked On Spartans throughout this entire portal season. Like I said, guys, we will be back tonight after Michigan State, Minnesota. Please win that game. I hate playing in the barn, as if I'm the one playing. I hate watching my team play in the barn. How about that? That's more rational to say. All right, guys, we'll see you in a few hours. Until then, hey, enjoy the rest of your day. Love you all. Go Green.